see, in most of the rest of the world, sandwich or a burger is, culinarily speaking, concept is carb, protein, carb. And in between, some fiber. Carb, fiber, protein, carb. India, carb, deep fried carb. And then carb. Aloo tikki burger. Right? Potato, deep fried cutlet burger. Veg patty means deep fried potatoes only, right? It is not some soy, it is not some protein, not even vegetarian protein, right? Paneer also, it will be coated in some cornstarch or some, rice flour or whatever it is, and then breadcrumbs and then fried again. Right? So everything is deep fried. Because again, see, I can understand, historically, hot country, we have a bias towards fried food because fried food is safe. It spoils less often. It tends to be drier, less moisture, right? So historically, we call fried food as, pakka food. Kacha food is anything that will go bad, that you can only eat at home. The moment you go outside, which is when Indians travel, we'll always carry things that don't spoil. So fried puri, right? And chapati at home. You never carry chapati outside. You carry puri outside, right? So that's sort of like the...
Because it doesn't get bad easily.
Yeah, because less water.
Less water.
Yeah.
Water attracts, moisture attracts.
Moisture is really what... See, India has foundationally been a battle against moisture. How can you sort of prevent that? So there's many techniques. You dry it out. You fry it then dry it, right? Or you ferment, which is honestly a better method, right? Because, but yeah, so fermentation can be tricky. Right? You could end up over spoiling also. But yeah, but generally I think I think fermentation is one of India's greater contributions. The sheer scale and the creativity with which at least South Indian cultures do.
Which we have not tapped into that much.
Honestly, yes.
Right.
Because I think it takes a lot of attention and time. And in an urban environment, you often don't have that. You have to constantly monitor and see at what point it's correct and what point it's not safe and so on. Is that people sometimes just forget. See, I think, at home, the idli tastes very different, right? It has that pleasant sour taste just right. And that the second day it's just too sour for idli, they will switch to making dosa or uttappam and other things, right? On the third, fourth day, it's like uttappam, right?
And why is that?
Simply because, see, one is that it's, to be honest, super sour. You make it palatable by adding more fat.
Oil.
Right, oil, right? So uttappam will soak in so much oil, right? See, that is what we end up doing, right? And then you eat that with other gravy things that will absorb and things like that, right? So that's why it will be a lot of holes and so on. So, see, what happens is that people don't realize when you go to a restaurant, that idli is barely fermented. You just taste it and see. It will never be sour. Because if you're running a restaurant, fermentation is extremely risky business. Because you're this much away from food poisoning and being shut down, right? So therefore, they reduce that. So you eat a dosa or an idli in a restaurant, you are just eating largely unfermented carbs, refined carbs. And by the way, at home, you have the opportunity to use a good urad dal to rice ratio. That's not true in a restaurant. Barely uses any urad dal. It'll be mostly rice.
Why is that?
Cost.
Urad dal is costly, slightly.
Yes, rice is cheap. So obviously it is. So historically in the south, right? I mean, you sort of see, if you're a Kanchipuram idli, the rich would eat 1:1 ratio of dal to rice. So rich, it's a privileged this thing, right? The moment you go to poorer people, the rice to dal ratio falls, right? I mean, more rice, less dal, right? And restaurant is again about profits. It's about margins. It's not a very high margin business, right? Especially fast food, tiffin and all that. So yeah, it's never going to be. So that's why sometimes, sometimes these old ladies in these small carts where they just make the idli, right? You can absolutely be certain that it's fermented.
Because it's daily.
Because they're made and it's all sold that day. They're not running an industrial thing where they cannot waste, they have to reuse, they have a refrigerator and all that sort of stuff. Right? They don't have any of that. So they have to control fermentation.